Okay, I think we might actually have something now. I'm going to check with Shelby and make sure that actually worked. And I'm not just talking into the void, which is very possible at this point. But we're going to try. If somebody is in the live chat, let me know. If not, we're about to start this thing. Or I guess if so, if it worked. Right now it's saying it worked, so. But I also know that I just got on, so. Maybe I'll let Facebook know as well. Oh, okay, yay, Shelby says it's working. Okay, cool. You're gonna all see my Instagram, or my Facebook feed right now, which is totally okay. Nothing to hide here. Okay, she already said something. Okay, cool, great. Wonderful. Okay, hi. So, let's just go ahead and I want to show you guys as much of the screen as possible. So just bear with me here as we get everything looking good for all of you. Looks like it looks okay. So this little black bar, just to let you know, is actually the live stream, or the live chat, so I can see what's going on and what you guys are asking me. Oh, here we go. Oh, even better. Love to see it. And for some reason I can't figure out how to present it without it completely messing up, so you're just going to see the side. But I think that's okay. So today we're going to talk about creative problem solving. I'll introduce myself. My name is Katie Catalfina. I am the historian for the Chi chapter, and we are at the Ohio State University. And I actually gave this presentation to my chapter just a couple days ago on Monday. So we actually did the CMEP, and a lot of what I'm going to talk about is what we discussed, and then I'm also going to give you some tips on how you could do something like this with your own chapter. So first, we started with the scenario. I don't really like CMES, CMEPs where you're just talking at people. Kind of what this is going to be a little bit today, sorry, just the technology. You'll get to see the scenarios that we did. So first scenario. So we're all playing. I tell everyone, hey guys, we're going to play TBS Trivia. So everybody get into groups. So I let them all get into groups. And then select one person to be your team captain. I think I even said something like, make sure this is the person who is the most confident about your answers and all that stuff. And then I hit them with, now, team captains, raise your hand. And so the team captains raise their hands. And I told them that they were not allowed to use any words when regarding the answers. So they weren't allowed to speak. They weren't allowed to write. They weren't allowed. They could draw pictures. They could point to things. They had to think of a creative way to share their knowledge with their teammates, as they were the one who was the most knowledgeable. Here's their reaction. I think it's really funny. I actually videotaped the whole presentation, but it was just kind of long, and we were also eating pizza, so there's just a lot of, it would have been really hard for me to edit down, and my computer was having trouble. It was like a 20 or 30 minute presentation, and video isn't the nicest thing, but you can see her reaction. Also, her reaction made me laugh a lot. So why would I come up with something like this? Well, obviously team building helps them work together, thinking outside the box. Obviously this is a presentation on creative problem solving, so we are going to solve things creatively, right? And then getting the middle involved, that was one of the big goals. So by silencing the leader, we are now opening up the floor for other people to hear their voice. And we'll talk a little bit about that. I actually, instead of I was going to show you the clips, but I actually just wrote down their quotes, and I think that'll be more effective anyways. In realizing our resources, Kai is very fortunate in having a lot of resources, but I feel like this could apply for any chapter, and even if you don't have a lot of resources, realizing the ones that you have and using them to your fullest potential. So let's talk about what happened. So we did the TBS Trivia, and here are some of the responses. She's referring to new members when she's saying this. A lot of them got it right away, so it made me realize they know a lot more than they think, and it made them realize that they need to have confidence in themselves, which was really cool to see. If you don't know, Kai actually doubled the size of their chapter with their recruitment class this year, which is amazing, and it was cool to see them. I purposefully asked questions I didn't think that they would know. Some of them I knew they would know, like our colors, because they were obviously tested on that and were taught that in their membership classes. However, I asked some questions like, who was the president of Kai 2 years ago? Just so that they would need their leader's support on that. One of the biggest things that we talked about was sometimes a person with more experience needs to take a step back so a person with less experience can gain that experience. And one of our treasurers said this, and it's so true. How often do we let the leaders just kind of do everything? And that's kind of that motivating the middle. I went to, I forget which block it was, and they had a whole presentation on motivating the middle. But I think sometimes we just need to realize that some of our newer members do have a lot to say, and they have a lot of value that they can add. But if we don't give them the room to do that, they'll never grow, and our chapter won't grow, because our having the same thing over and over again doesn't allow things to prosper. Haley says, it gave people the opportunity to stop and think about new ideas and have the voice to share them. So she talked a little bit more about how, whether it be that someone's shy or whether it be that someone, there's more people taking charge, they don't feel like they need to step up. One of our new members, Chris, said that we need to listen better to each other and focus on our ideas on those concerns. I think the question I asked them specifically, I kind of got them to respond with some guided questions. And one of the questions I had was, how do we keep our ideas focused but also creative? And so that's what he was saying. We need to do a better job of listening into each other, the things that we need as bandsmen, and focus our ideas on those things, because often, and it kind of went with it was important that we had to listen to each other to get the answers and to really hone in. Sometimes there are a lot of really awesome ideas, but until one person can organize them and execute them, nothing gets done. So this also new member, Brooke, she was talking about, we have our new members do a service project, which a lot of people do. And they were talking about throwing out all these ideas, which are awesome and very creative, but until we have one person to kind of streamline those ideas, that's also super important. And we can actually make some of those ideas come into real life. Megan said, make and maintain an environment where people are not afraid to share. So that was definitely a common theme, making sure that everybody feels like they have their own voice. Otherwise, you're never going to get those creative ideas to prosper. And it is much more effective when we bring in our own outside passions into service projects and make them relevant or related to TBS. We all have different experiences that can contribute to new ideas in our chapter, and we have seen that this year with our more successful projects. And this is from our VPSP, Emily Soller. She was talking about some of the more recent projects we've done, we're actually working on an athletic spring fling dance, and our secretary has been very passionate about it, and we've really gotten things cooking because she's very passionate about athletic band and making sure that we cater to those, and she loved going to her dances in high school and feels like we should provide that for them, because the marching band gets it and the athletic band doesn't. Another great example she brought up was the 5K. Abby Duncan is one of my best friends, and she's a runner, and she loves to run. And they had this idea for a 5K, but it never took off until somebody who was really passionate about running wanted to take charge. And I think that's a really great thing to keep in mind when it comes to new ideas. So, I said I don't like talking at you the entire time, so I'm going to give you a minute or so. Your goal is to complete this with 4 or less straight lines. Now, there's multiple, we'll go over the answer. There's multiple ways to do this. Think about if I'm asking you to creatively problem solve, there might be that's a hint in itself. So I'll give you about 30 to 45 seconds. You can even pause it if you'd like. Try and figure this out. Okay, hopefully you've got it by now. Here are some of the solutions. This one is the more common one where it has 4 lines, but I also think this one's really good. I did this in chapter as well, and several people came up with both solutions, and I think it was helpful that I framed it for them in the way that I framed it for you. But yeah, when I first saw this, I'm not going to lie, I kind of just looked at it and said, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. It was for an ed psych presentation, and one of our things was just try and figure this out and a bunch of other problems like this. And I was like, yeah, no, that looks like a lot of work, and I don't really want to sit and figure this out. But why is it important to try and figure it out, right? Why is it important to creative problem solve? So, in our chapters, using all available resources, like I said, when we did the activity with the TBS Trivia, we went over some things that were like, I asked them, what did you use to get past that hurdle of not being able to use words? And they said they did a lot of pointing, a lot of looking around the room, and one of the things I asked was the colors on the flag, and there was actually like a rainbow thing pointed up there, and they could point to each color. They drew on some of their iPads or on paper to try and help them. So just knowing the resources that are available to you is so important, and thinking of creative ways to use them. Because we might look at something and be like, well, that can't be helpful to me. But if we really assess, we might be able to use it in a different and creative way. Encouraging new ideas. So making sure, like I said, those younger people, even the older people, just thinking about things differently. Just because it's done one way doesn't mean it needs to be done that way. And there might be a better way to do it. So just encouraging and fostering new ideas. We talked about having new members contribute, or the more conservative members. And I think the most important thing is just to foster that relationship and the environment in chapter. And also just giving a chance for the leaders to step down for a second. I think some of our leaders actually had a really great time doing this because they weren't put on the spot like they always are. They're always on 100%, and it was nice for them to be able to step back a little bit. So just allowing that to happen, I feel like as leaders, we're always like, we need to be doing something all the time. But sometimes we just need to take a step back and listen better. And accepting change, coming up with improvements. So I talked about this too. I don't want to be too repetitive, but just making sure we're open to new things. And not falling into ruts or going through the motions. I think this is something that we're all... no one is immune to this in their chapter. So making sure that we're not just... Hello. Hi, friends. Hello, hi friends. Looks like some people said we were having video trouble. Let me know where it stopped because I went through the whole rest of the presentation. So make sure you let me know if you guys could where you stopped. Hopefully everyone heard my spiel. Otherwise I'll have to give it again, but that's okay. We're all learning and we're growing and it's a process, right? It is okay to fail because it is an opportunity for growth. This is very outside my comfort zone, so I'm excited that I learned something new today about how to stream. Okay, so the beneficent relevant slide, hopefully you got all of it. I'll go back just in case. I talked a lot about each one of these. If anybody can let me know which one, or if they got through all of them. I can give a quick summary as well. I was talking about how in our chapters there are some benefits, and in our own personal lives, I feel like everything through TBS we can relate back to our own personal growth and development. So if anybody wants me to go over any of these, if I stop the video too soon, sorry. I think the YouTube was slightly behind. Oh, reframing perspectives. Oh, perfect. Okay, I think YouTube is slightly behind where I am, so that's why I'm like waiting for responses. Okay, awesome. Well, we talked about reframing our perspectives then. Let me give that quote because I think it's too good to not give. So I talked about a quote, and it says, "You can't control what happens to you, and you can't always control how you feel, but you can control how you frame it." So I think that is such a good quote and it's such a good idea for our own lives. If we're not creative in our thinking and we're not constantly thinking about reframing, we can get bogged down and really negative really easily. But ultimately, the next point is growth mindset. I can see this problem as an opportunity or I can see it as a hurdle. And looking at problems just like when YouTube stops, that's a problem. But I can see this as an opportunity for me to grow in my learning on how to live stream. Or I could see it as a hurdle and I could be negative to myself and I could say, oh man, I should have known how to do this, or I should have done this or that. We can frame our problems into different ways. And this all comes from this idea and this practice of thinking outside of the box and thinking creatively. So having the ability to find solutions in unfamiliar situations. We're faced with new things in life daily. We never know what's going to hit us. And being able to practice this and to look at all your resources and say, okay, maybe this isn't the way that this is intended to be used, but I can use it to benefit me in this way. Having those skills are like so important in our own lives, and they can really make or break a situation for you. And more productivity and more flexibility in our thought processes. So those two kind of go hand in hand. But just like I talked about with the dots problem, I don't know, hopefully you guys heard that. When I looked at it and I said, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. That looks like a lot of work, and I'm not here for that. So I just didn't do it. And in life, that's not going to get us anywhere. So being able to think creatively and challenge ourselves in that way helps us be more productive overall as humans. So this is where I tried to stop, but I guess. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry for the delay and sorry for the random stopping in the middle. Feel free to ask me any questions. I'll stay on for a while and make sure. I think somebody already asked me one question, but I will definitely either speak about it or I will respond back to you in the chat. If you want to follow us, because Kai is doing lots of amazing things, and I'm super excited about them. We most frequently use Twitter and Instagram, so there are our handles for both of those. We have a lot of new exciting projects coming up. Especially having 15 new members has been awesome for us to get some new ideas and some hands, which has been amazing. So my name is Katie Catalfina. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to ask Shelby for my email, or DM us on one of those as well. But yeah, thanks for coming and tuning in. Let me know if you guys have any more questions.